After building solutions for Disney, Ticketmaster, and thousands of other companies, we keep coming back to the same 5 key features in Airtable. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to build any Airtable solution, and we're going to go layer by layer. By the end, you'll see how a real solution is built step by step. So if you're ready to dive in to fully understand the different features in Airtable, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. And it's our mission to help you unlock the full potential of no-code tools. Airtable is at the top of our list. In this video, as I said, we're going to be diving into the 5 key features. Any Airtable solution you build should include all of these features to be fully functional. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to first invite you to join me for our Airtable crash course. This is the perfect place for you to start to really understand the key building blocks of Airtable. Our crash course is going to break the features down for you step by step, and it's only available on our website at gapconsulting.io/airtable-crash-course. The crash course will help you take what you learn here in this video and implement it even more. So sign up today with your email to get our crash course delivered to your inbox. But without further ado, let's hop on into Airtable, and we're going to start with the first layer. And if you don't get this one right, the whole solution is going to fall apart. Think of this as the foundation and framework of building a new structure. If you don't have this right, the whole thing will collapse, and that is tables. So jumping into my screen, you'll see the data layer. This is an important call out because many people only ever see the interface layer of Airtable. If you're usually a user in an Airtable solution that was built for you, you may not even have access to the data layer for your organization. Only the admins or people with the special permission of full access will see the data layer. But this is the heart and soul of every database. And each one of these tabs represents a thing. Something, an item of data that is stored in your database. And each one should be named: clients, team members, contacts, projects, deliverables, etc. Now this looks a little like a spreadsheet, sure, but the power of Airtable is in the relationships. These different tables are connected. As you can see here, deliverables links to projects, and it links to the assigned to, which is our team members table. If you look in the settings of any field, as I've done here, you'll see what it's doing. In this case, linking to team members. And this allows us to pull information from different layers of our database. So it's much more robust than a spreadsheet because of the fact that we have connections built and relationships established throughout the database. Every single build always starts here, so understanding your data schema and how to interlock your tables so that your database is properly structured is going to be the first key to unlocking true success with Airtable. The second key feature is the field, and the field is something we already started to talk about. It is a column here inside of each table. A field allows you to set up a certain type of data that you're collecting for whatever this thing is in this table. In this case, I have my deliverables table, and you can see that we have a set number of fields already built. I have a deliverable name, so of course, every deliverable I add has a name. It has a type. What type of deliverable is this? A status, a due date. You'll notice that each one of these different fields contains a different type of data. This one is text. This one is a drop-down where I select an option. We call this a single select. Here we have a date, and here a long block of text. This allows for carriage returns, and we can even toggle on the option for rich text so that we can use italics or hyperlinks or things like that inside of the text block. Now, as we previously mentioned in feature number 1, as discussing the tables, the most important field that you will build is the linked relationship. We have a link here to our projects and a link to our team members. And when we build a link, it also creates the opposite field in the other table. So if I'm linking a deliverable to a project, in the projects table, when I scroll over, I will also have a link to deliverables. And this is because if we link one thing to another, it's reciprocal. It has to link in both places. Once we have our data structure in place, and that is the tables and fields and everything's connected and humming along, it's time to step into key feature number 3. This is how data gets into our database, forms. So up at the top, we can select a form, we can build one with AI or build it ourselves. When we create a form, what we are doing is empowering our users to add information to our database. Now, the key rules of forms are they can only create a new record in one table and one table only. So when we build a form, it is specific to a table. For example, if we want to create a form for projects, we select the table, we name the form, new projects, and we create. Now here we're able to add any fields that we would like from the projects table. So if we want all of these things in there, we would simply show all of them on the form. In this case, I'll keep everything except for the linked fields. I will include clients. So when we add a new project, in the form, we will tell. So when we add a new project in the form, we will also say who the project is connected to. Now we can also select these different fields within the form, and there are some options here to make them required, to set up some validation, maybe some default values, or choose to make certain things visible or not, based on other things that have happened in the form. In a typical form, you might also rearrange some things, make the form a little bit easier on the eyes to read. Maybe we bring all the dates together. We can make things required, as I've said, and once we're happy with the form, we set it up to publish. From a published form, we can decide who gets access. This is really important. Is it anybody on the web, or is it only people within our email domain, or only people who have access to this database? You might also choose to embed the form in your website if you want to share access more publicly there. Once you've determined the settings of your form and how you wish to share it, note that you can start adding things here. So I can create a test project. Anything that you've mentioned is a required field you'll have to fill out and submit this. Then heading back to the database itself, you should be able to confirm that that new record was created with the information that you suggested in the form. This is a great way for you to empower your end users to add information to the database, but make sure that you understand that you can only create one record upon a form submission, and it only goes in one table at a time. If you have data that you're trying to parse out to multiple tables, the Airtable form in and of itself is not sufficient. So now we have our data in the database. It's time to step into key feature number 4. How are people going to actually work with this data when they're in operation? And that is all done in the 4th feature, interfaces. So here is where we will build an interface for people to interact with. The key takeaway on interfaces is that we can limit permissions within the interface to allow people to only see or edit exactly what we want them to have access to. So let's create an interface. We'll call it test. And we can choose an icon here and create. Now you'll notice that you can generate a new AI-built interface. This is for more advanced users who are looking for some custom solutions. This is really robust, but for our purpose, I'm just going to create a simple record review. Let's make a selection of a project and display the information on our interface for our team members. By going to the next tab here, I select what table I want to interact with for this particular interface page, projects, and I can apply some filters here on the left. Let's say I only want to bring in projects where the status is approved. So this way, I'm going to limit the actual things that show up. You can notice underneath here that as I'm setting up the filters, the background is updating as well to give me an indication of what the actual end interface will look like. Once I'm happy with this, I can create next, choose what's going to show up on this interface, and next one more time to give it a name. From here, I'll call this test page, and we'll say finish. And now I'm going to be in the build mode of test page. Now that I've gone through the wizard to help kind of set this up, I can get more into the details. So this is where I can click in. Maybe I want to change the size of this font. Maybe I want to make this part editable. Maybe I choose, I don't want the project name to show up here again, and I want the project type to be editable so that my end users can change the project type or the status if needed. So now that I've turned both of these things on to editable, I might rearrange them to make that a bit more appealing to the eye. I can also add a background color here and maybe add a group title, something like record information might be what I put in here. Once I'm happy with the look and feel of the interface, I can publish. And whoever I choose to share this interface with will not get access to the backend database. This is the key takeaway. I am locking down permissions. I am sharing this with people and only letting them see access to this particular interface page. So if I have private information on the backend in my database, my users who have access to only this interface don't even need to know about all of the other things that the database does. This particular feature is vital to any Airtable solution that you're building, and I'm actually very surprised by how many clients that we've worked with who've been using Airtable for years and still don't have ideal interfaces built out for their solutions. This is a big missed opportunity. If you're sharing database access with your team, you have no control over what they see and what they're allowed to edit. Interfaces give you that control and allow you to really scale your Airtable solution. Now that people have access to the data and a way to interact with it through your interface, we're going to cut into the fifth feature, which is workflows or automations, as they're called in Airtable. To get there, let's go back to the data layer. This assumes that we have access to the back end. If we are an interface-only user, we will never see this. In here, we can go to automations and build workflows. This is where we can allow things to happen automatically within our solution and perhaps even integrate to third-party tools. So if you want to send information out of Airtable to Slack, Microsoft Teams, Gmail, you're able to do that thanks to automations in Airtable. In order to build an automation, first establish a trigger. What has to happen to initiate this automation? So for example, we might say, hey, when a record matches a certain condition in our projects table, when the condition is, let's go to the status field here, and we'll say when it's complete. So maybe we want to send an announcement to our team in Slack that says, once we mark a project complete, we ping the channel and say, all done. So we can set up that very thing here. Notice that we have access to a number of different tools natively through Airtable, from Slack to Gmail to Salesforce to Facebook and Outlook, etc. If you're looking for an integration that is outside of this list, you also have the option of running a script, which requires a paid plan on Airtable, and you can connect to other middleware tools like Zapier or Make.com. So for our purposes, we'll use a direct integration with Slack. We can send a message in our Slack channel by selecting the account here and typing in the message, and it can use information from things that happened previously in our automation. So if we wanted to bring in, let's say, the project name, we can do so here and say project name is now complete. And this will then change every time the automation runs, because it's going to use the project name from a previous step in the automation. So this component of the output is variable. This component is static, always the same. And we can set up, the Slack account and the channel that we want to send that announcement to. And then, of course, when we're ready, generate a preview and turn the automation on. Every solution that we build at Gap Consulting contains automations, because without them, you're going to be doing all of your work manually, and that really takes away from the benefits of having a proper Airtable solution that helps organize and streamline your system. So in summary, we start with tables, build the right data schema, and make sure to include number 2, fields in every table. From there, we consider how information gets into the database, and that is through forms, number 3. Then we pivot into how people interact with the data, interfaces, number 4, and lastly, build the automations, the workflows, number 5, so that information flows automatically throughout the process. That's the skeleton of everything we build here at Gap Consulting in Airtable. When you're ready to fully dive into these key features, be sure to grab our free Airtable crash course at gapconsulting.io/airtable-crash-course. I will share a link wherever you found this video. If you enjoyed this content, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you get more videos from us just like this. If you have questions that we did not get to here, be sure to swing by our website because we've put a ton of resources together for you. That's it for this one. The most important thing, keep on building.